It's Play in the Shed day, so what's going on today? Well, it's something just a bit different because today I'm going to do some woodwork. The box is going to have this design on it, and the way I choose the design is just to find a picture on the internet that I like, stick it in my simple CAD program, and then just trace around, as you can see on the right hand side there, just free trace around the various bits. So I'm just tracing around the first bit up the top there, and you can see if I just move the photo, there's the first bit done, because all those bits are going to end up being inlay in a piece of timber. So once I've traced around all those black bits, I'm just drawing an outline that's going to be the shape of the box, and then I'll fill in all those bits with black to make it easier for me when I actually cut them out. This is the timber I'm going to use. The centrepiece is a piece of hewn pine, that's 1 inch thick or 25mm. Top and bottom is going to be Australian red cedar, and then that other darker bit is going to be the inlay. So I'm just using the jointer here to put some nice smooth surfaces on that piece of timber that I'm going to use for the body. I bought this hewn pine way back in 2012 on a motorcycle trip to Tasmania. The only technical bit of this build is the inlay, and this is really quite straightforward once you understand how to do it. Basically, you put the pattern on one piece, you put the two pieces of wood together, and you cut them out together. So it's sort of like this. The top piece of wood is cut on a very slight angle, about 2 to 2.5mm. I've exaggerated the angle here just for the exercise. And so that top little piece that is cut out there, because of the width of the blade and the angle that you're cutting it on, that top piece fits perfectly down into the bottom piece of timber. It's almost like magic. Anyway, I'm using two pieces of timber that are about 6mm thick. So the top piece is a bit darker than the bottom piece. Once I've got the two pieces, I'm just taping them together because I'll be cutting them out together. And now I'm putting 1mm holes at the edge of each one of those black pieces so that I can put the blade up into the hole and then cut the piece out. And the blade is a number 3 blade for my scroll saw, which is quite fine. I need the blade to be this fine because of the intricate cuts on this design that I've chosen. I've angled the scroll saw at about 2 to 2.5mm, and then I'm going to cut out in clockwise direction each one of those little black bits. So they basically end up being cylinders. The top part of the piece is just a little bit wider than the bottom part of the piece. It was a bit of watching other videos and a bit of trial and error to find that the width of a number 3 blade for the two pieces of 6mm timber and about 2 to 2.5mm angle got me a piece that, once cut out, fits in to the bottom piece of timber, and you'll see this later. Anyway, that's the first bit done, and now it's just a matter of doing all the other little bits. As you can see, I'm using my newly made scribe to just poke those bits out. The scribe was made in the previous video on this channel if you want to go back and have a look at it. With all the inlay pieces cut out, I can now take both pieces apart, and that top piece of timber now can be thrown away because it's the bottom piece that I want. And now I can fit all those little pieces into the holes that were cut into the bottom piece. Just like magic. The process might be magic, but I'm not, and there's a few little bits where the timber just fell apart and there's holes left. So the way I fix that is I've got some dark sawdust that I've kept from a previous job, and I fill in the hole with sawdust and then just fill it with super glue, and then just rub some dry sawdust around on the top, and that fills up the hole with a nice dark little piece of what looks like timber. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. And then the final process is to just sand it off nice and smooth. There we go. There's the slightly technical bit done. I'm now using another copy of the same pattern to just cut out a couple of the pieces so that I can use them to align with my piece of inlaid timber. So I'm just going to glue that down to the inlaid timber because now I want to cut out the actual box itself. Now I'm ready to make the sandwich, which makes up the box. A top, a base and the middle. And again, I'm just going to use clear tape to tape them all together, because I'll be cutting out the shape of the box with all the pieces together so they all fit perfectly. Now I'm going to use a number 7 blade for this. This is still relatively thin, but I want a nice smooth cut. And the theory is the smaller the blade, the smoother the cut. But the bigger the blade, the easier it is to cut out thick material. So it's a very slow process to cut out this basically 2.5 inch thick timber. But of course the job goes a lot faster if you speed up the video. Almost there. You can see that that blade has made a really nice job of cutting out all of that timber. It'll only take a little bit of fine sanding just to finish it off. Anyway, I'm just freehand drawing around the inside of the body because I want to cut that out to make the inside of the box. Now it's time to cut out the insert for the lid that will hold the lid in place. I'm just using a bit of 3mm ply for this. It's important that to be accurate here so that the lid fits nice and tight. So let's give it a try. Yep, that fits beautifully. I'll have that. Now it's just a simple matter of gluing that piece that I've just cut out to the back of the inlay piece to make the lid. And I'm using just ordinary wood glue, but I'm putting a few dobs of super glue on as well, because the super glue will dry very quickly, which means I can keep going on with the project. I don't have to wait. But the wood glue will, when it eventually dries, will be nice and strong. With the lid done, I can now glue on the base. A little bit of sanding with a bit of 240 grit paper just smooths out all the little rough edges. Not that they're very rough anyway, but this just makes them nice and chamfered. So there we go, the lid fits on perfectly and beautifully. So there's the box done. So now it's really just a matter of doing some finishing touches. And the first thing is I'm going to put my maker's mark on the back. This is something that my daughter bought for me years ago. And it's just a stamp with my stylized initials in it. Very professional looking. I've decided to use orange oil for the finish on this little box. It leaves a nice deep lustre to the timber, and it also smells quite nice. So I put it on quite generously and then leave it for a while to soak in. You can see how the oil really brings out the colour of the timber. Some time has passed and the oil is soaked in, so now I'm just going to wipe off the excess and then give it a final rub down with a cloth. Right, there's the finished product. A nice little box that's going to be a present for my friend Karen. Hope you like it. If not, I won't be offended if you re-gift it.